Today we're going to look at some other type of two-step equations that can be solved. These can be solved with division or with the distributive property. They're in the form with an outside coefficient, some inside terms, inside parentheses, equaling some amount. Since it's an equation, then it has an equal amount. For example, 5 times x plus 9 equals 50. What we're going to do is look at the outside coefficient. In this equation, the outside coefficient is 5. If 5 is a factor of the answer, which the answer is 50, then we're going to divide by the coefficient. Notice 50 and 5 is a factor of 50, so we're going to divide both sides by 5, dividing by the coefficient. When we divide both sides by 5, we're able to cancel out the coefficient. And we're left with x plus 9 equals 10. Now we can easily solve for our variable. We can subtract 9 from both sides and see that x equals 1. In the second example, there's a fraction as the outside coefficient. We're also going to divide, but remember, when we divide by a fraction, we're actually multiplying by the reciprocal. So we're going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 3/5 is 5/3. When we multiply by the reciprocal, we get to cancel out the coefficient, and we're left with m minus 6 on the left. When we cancel out the right side, we're left with negative 3 times 5, because the denominator becomes a 1. So we are left with m minus 6 equals negative 15. Next, we move our constant with addition. We add 6 to both sides, and we're left with m equals negative 9. So when there's a fraction as the outside coefficient, multiply by the reciprocal. When you see a fraction next to the variable terms, multiply by the reciprocal. In this example, we look at the outside term as 6, and 6 is not a factor of the answer. Negative 15 cannot be divided evenly by 6. So we're going to use the distributive property to simplify this equation before we solve. So we get 6 times y, outside coefficient, times y, plus 6 times 4, which is 24. And we set this equal to negative 15. Now we solve for x. Remember that first we move the constant, so we subtract. We move with addition or subtraction. Subtract 24 from both sides. 6y equals negative 39. Next, we're going to move the coefficient. We do this with division. Divide both sides by 6. Divide by the number next to the variable. Y equals negative 6 and 3/6. And if we continue to reduce, we get negative 6 and 1/2. In summary, equations in the following form with an outside term being multiplied by terms on inside parentheses, we're going to see if p is a factor, or if the outside coefficient is a factor of the answer, we divide both sides of the equation by the outside coefficient to cancel out the outside coefficient. Next, if p is a fraction, multiply both sides of the equation by the reciprocal of the fraction. So if you see a fraction outside the parentheses, multiply by the reciprocal. If p is not a factor of r, use the distributive property to simplify before solving the equation. So simplify with the distributive property if you cannot divide by the outside coefficient. That's all. I hope this is helpful. Thank you.